Great. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. It is Monday, and we are about to get started for another strong week, making sure that we stay on the right side across markets. Right now, we're on the right side of the curve. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the S curve. Bitcoin trading at $125,000. Look at it right here. Beautiful. For sure, the last discretionary breakout impulse sent us to that new all-time high. Bitcoin here looking good. Expectations are watch out October. Cycle peak ahead. This is not even getting started yet. We are going to boom, boom, boom. Glad to be here with you all. So glad to do CTM things right now as we get going. Bitcoin, $125,000, $2.5 trillion asset born from the ashes not too long ago. The fastest pacing growth of a new asset in our lifetimes. Flirting with silver. Silver, by the way, looking really good. Real into that $50 resistance. I root for Bitcoin. I root for precious metals. I root for hard assets. I like real money. No question about it. Gold sitting up top. Its market cap continues to grow and grow. A lot of people wondering if Bitcoin is going to be able to catch up, what that's going to look like. I remember when gold was a $20 trillion. No, it had to be much less. I can't even. Does anyone know? Gold has grown almost since 2000, 4,000. The market cap's grown by almost 100%. So when gold was around a $12 trillion market cap. By the way, it's nice to see such a large market cap able to continue to accelerate upwards. I can't imagine where this ends. I can't imagine because it's just getting started. Either which way, when gold had a 12, $13 trillion market cap, for Bitcoin at that point to have not overtaken it, but matched the market cap, it was something like $450,000 a coin. So now that's close to about 900,000. I don't think that gold's market cap is going to come off. I mean, obviously, I believe this is a super cycle, right? We said gold's moving to 2,500. It's not stopping there. I'll see at 5,000. We'll reevaluate. Gold here now trading just $19 away from $4,000. What is going on over here? We got up here Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon falling below. Did you see a lot of Jeff Bezos calling this 1999, that this is a bubble that is about to crash? I think Jeff got distracted, right? A lot of people after the lockdowns all into Amazon, and he's really comfortable with his new wife, then fiance, girlfriend, gallivanting around. And at that point, 2022, ChatGPT is dropped out, and since then, the likes of Meta, Alphabet, Microsoft have put all of their focus and resources in making sure they don't fall behind. Amazon not involved, and now Jeff is talking about placing data centers in space. All right. What's going on over here? By the way, this is great news for me, I think. I like this over here. We're looking at potentially in the beginning 2026, Bitcoin futures will be trading on the CME 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I like that a lot. CTM templates on the futures. Gonna love that. Litecoin, did you see that Satoshi Light, the guy who took Bitcoin's code, copy and pasted it, and then made what do you make the block limit 4 times higher? He said that, look, he wish he never created Litecoin, and that you should be all into Bitcoin. So that carries weight when the creator is like Charlie, what's his name? Charlie Satoshi Light something. Charlie Lee is like, listen, and he said it just in the last few days. I should never have done it. It should have been all about Bitcoin. And like, I don't know why. I guess you could look at any type of meme stock. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to do actually pretty like legendary things. We're talking about conquering the markets. It is one of the most difficult things that is it's one of the greatest achievements. There's no question about it. You have the brightest minds from all over the world competing for that capital. And guys, you could focus on things like, I mean, look at XRP. XRP since the last cycle top has been on a tremendous run. And a lot of people are really believe that, you know what, XRP, it is going to take over the world. It is going to be, the building block that's going to be like the center, whatever they think that XRP is going to be and is. There are people who are really, and it might do that. It might do that. A lot of very smart people at least believe it is. I'm not one of them, but you know, um, what I think is the best way for you to achieve the future that you want is to go about making smart, calculated returns. And Litecoin, from a discretionary standpoint, okay. When there's opportunity, there's opportunity. Nothing wrong with that. Are we into like is this alt mania that we're experiencing right now? Trump talking about handing out $1,000, $2,000 stimmy checks. He was also talking about, oh, the tariffs are gonna, those making $200,000 and less in the United States will not pay income tax. Now it's stimmy checks, and that would be terrible if he were to do that, because we know what happened the last time the government gave out stimmy checks, and it's super inflationary. I hope he's smart enough not to do that, but I don't know that he. Why doesn't that money go towards paying off the debt? Why doesn't that money go towards neutral reserve, stacking Bitcoin? Whatever. I think there's much better uses than running the inflation hot like that. But point being there is, yeah, if like you're seeing like that type of money being put out there and speculation happening, then maybe Litecoin is a place that you want to focus. I don't think we're there at that time of cycle. We're talking about the next phase here, but we're not talking about a mania phase. A lot of people are expecting a mania phase to come. I mean, Bitcoin's at 125,000. Don't forget, it was only a few weeks ago that people gave up on even Bitcoin making another all-time high. Here we are, Bitcoin well within the sustainable channel. Or Bitcoin bull runs in the market up 10%, but we're not seeing Cardano and Solana even in the market right now. That says to me that this is not alt season. When it's alt season, Solana's making moves, Cardano's making moves. Now, right now we're seeing Bitcoin. Someone thinks this is alt season. I can't tell you how many times over the past 2.5 years I had to be like, this is not what alt season looks like. And then even today, you get like these analysts that are like, okay, Bitcoin's going to top in October, and then it's going to be alt season into the end of the year. And then I ask you, what happened in November 2021? How come Bitcoin topped with alts at the exact same time? Did people not forget or remember? What's going on? Is this a bull market in the Nasdaq right now that we're seeing, or are we seeing a few leaders running the whole way? Is that the same thing we're seeing in the crypto space? Bitcoin and Ethereum running the way over here. Stocks, I can't believe what's taking place. I can't believe, because we were 100% in cash 2 weeks ago. And I was like, wow, like just get ready to get chopped up. Get ready for like any trades we take. I'm just expecting that through the end of October that we got chopped up, a little bit of drawdown. Here we are now, T triple Q up 14.7%. Tesla up 20%. FNGU up 3.6%. IBIT, spot ETFs, Bitcoin, 10%, 10.6%. NVIDIA just holding on over here. NVIDIA feeling a little pressure from AMD. Did you hear what happened with AMD and OpenAI? Is it much different than what happened with OpenAI and Oracle just a few weeks ago? We're seeing a lot of a funny business going on over here. And looking back, people are going to be like, it was so clear. And it is so clear. But what people are missing is that just because you could see potential warrant the housing market, Dr. Michael Berry was right about the market. How off was his timing? He almost went bust, right? Timing is everything. That's why we have mechanical system, systematic system to keep us on the right side because we trade momentum. What you think is right and what's happening is irrelevant to what is happening. We trade what is happening, right? We follow momentum. I thought we were going to see like markets trading sideways to down, lower than we were in mid-August. We're much higher. This is trading momentum. Nvidia barely holding on, and MicroStrategy not yet taking off, up 1.5%. This here is conquering the markets. You do this for 10 years and you compound at this type of rate, and you're like Litecoin. I don't know. We'll take out Litecoin later. I want to get into it. But a lot of people right now are expecting we're in the zone. We're about to go parabolic. All of a sudden, out of I don't know where, we're going to see a significant amount of money enter into this market. Don't forget, this market now is $2.5 trillion. $2.5 trillion. When it was a $1 trillion market, you know how much capital you need. You need more than twice as much now to move the price. Whatever the case, a lot of people with some big expectations coming up right now. We're running out of time. You can see over here we're about, we're running to the finish line over here. Some tremendous targets by my friend Crypto Burb over here. I mean, man, Crypto Burb knows what's up. He is, for a long time, been a 4-year cycle enthusiast. He's had some really, really, really great calls. This would be amongst one of the best over here if we were to see that. But a lot of people are looking not only for Bitcoin here to surge, to go euphoric, but then after that, that rotation into alts. It would be a weird time for that to happen, in so much as that just like the Fed cycle does not align whatsoever. But a lot of people right now, right? Some people that also getting into cash. This is the top. We're getting into cash right now. We're about to 2026, the Great Recession. Watch out. Monetary policy does. Do you remember what happened in 2021, October 16, 2021? We were like, all right, Fed meeting minutes. This Wednesday, by the way, the government might be shut down, but the Federal Reserve, they're not part of the government. They're running. They will release their meeting minutes this Wednesday. That's obviously something that we're going to be looking for and paying attention to. Federal Reserve. What was it? Oh, the Federal Reserve, in their meeting minutes, October 16, 2021, they signaled that they were going to taper down their quantitative easing. We immediately put out a post looking at the macro. It looks like 2022, there's going to be a rate shock. But Jordan, every single macro analyst out there said that no one saw that coming. Bitcoin is not immune. What's the Fed doing now? Is the Fed getting ready to hike rates? Or is the Fed in the process of moving from tightening? And as they've been tightening, that fiscal dominance has definitely been dominant. And you've seen, even with monetary policy tight, risk run up for 2.5 years. Right now, you have Paul Tudor Jones on CNBC, and he's like, "Man, this reminds me of 1999." And I don't mean the later end. I don't mean this bubble's about to pop. I think this thing is going to get going. I think this thing is going to run. I don't know. Everything out there looks fugazi, but what I see out there is, I think this is the best tweet of the day. By the way, we have over here the Nikkei shooting up 5% overnight on what was a surprise election of a new prime minister. She is looking to run it hot, devalue the currency, and pump markets over there. You can see we got China, Japan now gonna take a run at the U.S. and you love that trying to stop this train running hot. It's their only option. This is their only option. But here's the thing. This is a fantastic tweet over the weekend. I'm sure you saw it, but I want to break it down with you together. I'm sure this is probably the most important signal out there. By the way, AMD, last I checked, they were up like 50%, talking about, playing a little bit of musical chairs with OpenAI. NVIDIA must be feeling the heat on that, though, right? NVIDIA must be feeling the heat on that. Either which way, in retrospect, it'll all be easy. Let's start over here. This is what I wanted to talk. 1990. I think we're like 1998, personally, and we still got some room. Eventually, I think this ends bad. And I was looking at this over here, and hold on one second. Maybe I have it up here to pull up, and maybe I don't. But let me see what this one is. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, this tweet over here by Luke Groman really puts things into perspective. Right now, people are looking at and honestly, how many people around you, like how many people that are not living within in the bubble that we live in? I love bubbles, by the way. I'm not talking about asset bubbles, which are fantastic, and yes, that's where money is absolutely made. And then on the crash, and then on the way out. You know, they're exciting. How long, man? Anyway, how many people in the real world that you know outside of our bubble are invested into Bitcoin or gold? And I think most are invested into probably equities, especially obviously, especially those specific in the U.S. I mean, we like 46% of our community is U.S. centric, and the only reason that we kind of focus on the U.S. as much as we do is because the U.S. is still a dominant force in the global economy and the world reserve currency. Maybe that changes one day. Um, but most people are invested into equities via their retirement accounts and real estate via their home and or rental properties. And if you look since 2020, since the crisis, you could see that the NASDAQ is up 164%. That's massive. And people are like feeling that their portfolios are up and they like it. And then you look at things like the S&P 500, it's up 100%. What's interesting is Luke added a couple of things over here, and I think this is really important. In green over here, you have the NASDAQ priced in gold, and it's up 7% since then, which is, I mean, it's still up first gold, no doubt about it. When you move into the S&P 500, though, you see the S&P 500 is down 18% versus gold. And then when you move into pricing things versus Bitcoin, you have the NASDAQ is down 78%. Yeah, you guys are all early adopters. I know that you're on the right side of this. Most people aren't, but when you begin pricing things in gold and Bitcoin, because they're showing two different things here. Gold, well, maybe both. Gold recently is beginning to signal more of the collapse that Bitcoin is showing, and there's no doubt that on the face value, gold's been signaling that stagflation is ahead, and ultimately, what we're looking at here is the devaluation of the purchasing power of the underlying. That's why stocks are up so. I mean, stocks are also up because, like what any way you look at it, we're experiencing a major technological advancement. What I mean, you guys remember playing with ChatGPT in even 2023? It wasn't useful. Now, today, it's extraordinarily useful. I can't imagine what it's like 2 years from now. And I pull out ChatGPT. I hope you've played with all of them. I've played with many, many, many different LLMs, including local ones and whatnot. I think that this is more appropriate. My question was, okay, that's from 2020, and we see that obviously, you know, Bitcoin is running the show here. But what about like since gold is broken out, right, in March, right? So what I wanted to do over here is, and we have over here Bitcoin. The reason I have Bitcoin just up because otherwise this looks a little funny. Just I'll take it off. This is from the top that we were just looking at in November 2021, the last market cycle top before the tightening cycle began. And if you look at everything, this paints a very interesting picture. Because when Luke goes back and starts during the Great Debasement 2020, March 2020, I mean, here you have the S&P 500, Nasdaq versus gold. Yeah, break even. S&P 500 is down, and Bitcoin is running the show. But since the last top, since markets peaked and the Fed began tightening, it's amazing here. Bitcoin and gold are running neck and neck. It's pretty. I think that is a much more important place to go off of. What about since the bull market began in 2023? So we have January 2023. Yeah, this is much more appropriate. I mean, we gave Bitcoin the worst starting point at the last cycle top since the bull market began, because a lot of people are like looking at January 2025. Like, why? It's just the calendar year. It's not pivotal in the markets. You're not looking at when the last major devaluation happened in March of 2020. You're not looking at the last cycle top, November 2021. You're not looking at the bull market breakout in January 2023. Like January 2025 is not really any type of pivotal point as far as market view goes. Nevertheless, a lot of people are stuck in what's happening over here. Short on the right side. Yeah. You short. Can you imagine, like, pretend you were living in, I mean, you could do a lot of things. You could be like, pretend you're living in Argentina in the 1990s. Pretend you're living in the Weimar Republic, and like you used to like cycles and how the market's been over the last 20 and 40 years been moving. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to short gold up here. I, I, guys, we're in a massive moment here. And looking back in hindsight, it's going to be really clear and really easy. But in real time, few people are able to get it right. Please be one of the people that get it right. Please be one of the people that get it right. You had the opportunity to like bear market, Fed monetary policy, 2022. It was tight, and everyone is broke. That's sad. And this is a good slide to help you understand what's going on over there. And you can see like the Mag 7 has driven 60% of the S&P 500's gains in 2025. And these tech companies employ 1.6 million Americans. And then you have logistics, construction, manufacturing, auto, energy sectors. I don't think that as logistics as trucking companies, fine. 38 million Americans, and they're getting off recession vibes. These jobs are at risk as the economy deteriorates. The stock market, though, is not the economy. I think that's what many people are confusing right now. And it is true. What is happening is a travesty, because anytime a society has a thriving middle class, that is when you're going to see a society thrive. And anytime you see a greater disproportion between the haves and the have-nots growing, that is bad. That is bad news bears. But that does not mean that because of like you can't confuse the economy. You can't with what's happening with the markets, and that's why we trade momentum. That's why we look at this. What am I looking at over here? This is Argentina versus the US dollar and gold. This is Argentinian peso with gold. Can you imagine over here? And you ready? I said 1990. You're starting. You see this massive move up. I'm going to short gold versus the Argentinian peso. Look at that move that is ensued. That's a 4x. We just saw gold versus the dollar go from 2,000 to 4,000. It's time to go. That's a great slide. Yeah, we got. Let's check out Riot. Let's check out MicroStrategy. Let's check out right here. People think that we're about to go parabolic. Watch out. right? Very much in a sustainable channel so far and right now. I'm more concerned with the downside always if we were to have some technical breakdown. Why I could see, yes. I mean, that's a big number. Could you see, is it possible into the end of the year, first quarter 2026, that we're going to be trading 150? That's a major milestone. I can't wait for it. But there we are. There we are. Let's move over. Let's look at what's going on over here. I think we got a good place to dial into Riot. And let's start over there. And MicroStrategy. So we got MicroStrategy on our templates. Let me bring it up. And MicroStrategy is in the market. It's good. You know, momentum kicking up. We're by the way, how many people were so bullish on MicroStrategy coming back over here into early summer? And they got really, really, really hurt. You know, we're just out on the sidelines, waiting, preserving that capital. Here we are again. We're back in the market. What are my expectations about what's going to happen from here? Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. You ready? We have a 55% win ratio, which is extremely high. So we just took an entry, 50% chance it works out. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, about 50-50. The average winning trade, though, let's go look at the average winning trade. And the average winning trade has not the highest, just the average winning trade. Every trade we take, 50% is a winner, 50% is a loser on average, and the average winning trade has a 47% gain. That's massive. That's what's the largest winning trade, 298%. So what do I think about MicroStrategy here? Well, I think we would have about a 50% chance of getting into a winning trade. And our average winning trade happens to be about 47%. If you view the market in probabilities like that, you just opened up. You just opened up the key to allowing you to be able to succeed. It doesn't, so you understand that, like, other people, like, okay, I'm tracking MicroStrategy, and that's a nice breakout. I'm taking the breakout, and I line that up. I want to be right, and I want this to be right. And if it goes, but if it starts going against me, wherever my stop loss is, I don't know. I don't want it to hit my stop loss because I just did all that analysis. And I have to be right, and I don't know. We don't care, right or wrong. It's just another trade. We're the casino. We know that giving enough hands, probabilities are in our favor. That's how we do it. Riot. Let's check out Riot. See what's going on over here. By the way, dollar here getting close to a potential breakout, but it's into resistance right now, the resistance of this channel. Dollar for sure feeling a little love of the weak yen today, but also the euro is, right, versus the yen. And the dollar is heavily weighted towards the yen, but even more so towards the euro. I'm looking for a place to pull up Riot. Let's start over here. So Riot looks good. It broke out of the line that we were looking for. I had an alert set on it for the time. It's accelerated out for sure into some bit. This is more of a speculative play though, as Riot is now pivoting again from Bitcoin mining and trying to get into AI data center use. And we'll see what happens, We'll see what happens. Is Palladium next? Look, so even this cycle is really different. I know that people still right now are looking for that 4-year cycle window. So, it's not yet become the narrative that this cycle is different. You should be able to see this cycle is different in so much as that look at what gold is doing, right? And there's a reason that gold has entered in what we call the super cycle. There's a reason that gold continues to appreciate, and why over the next X amount of years, it likely does significantly more. And do I think that that Bitcoin is not going to do Bitcoin things? No, no, no. Bitcoin is gonna really wake up the world. When we looked at from different pivotal points of how gold and Bitcoin have, because you look versus the dollar, and versus the dollar, stock markets are absolutely mooning versus the dollar. And then we look at what that looks like versus gold and Bitcoin, and it's a different situation. It's a completely different situation. I personally expect that tech is going to continue against the US dollar. Guys, think Venezuela as the economy completely washed out. What happened to their stock market? I don't know. I mean, listen, everyone understands that we've entered a secular bear market, but everyone still believes that the models that have been working for the past 60 years are going to continue to work. It is absolutely different this time. Now it's not, it's the go back to the 1940s. It's not much different. You know, back then yield control curve was running. Man, the Fed keeps upping their buybacks and they're much more consistent, making sure to buy back the long end of the curve over there, the long duration over there. And that's different, right? But everyone, like, I guess it's comfortable to think that the things are the same, but it's really exciting to understand what is happening and to be able to take advantage of the opportunity that's being offered, rather than like, I can't wait to short Bitcoin and make 80% on the way down in the bear market because it's October and that means it's going to peak, you know. But I look, we're not there yet. People are going to find out. Um yeah. So one thing about the miners though was that when we go into 2020, and then like there was a lot of speculation that was taking place in the miners, and MicroStrategy kind of removed a lot of that capital that would be put into. Same thing with altcoins and people looking for alt season and whatnot. First of all, monetary policy does not align right now. Second of all, like, when there were fewer altcoins and with very small market caps, there was, an easy rotation and a methodical rotation that would go from Bitcoin into the large caps, into medium, into small, and it was just a game. And now, like, it's been diluted so much where this used to hurt Bitcoin, where you would have the opportunity for, again, Charlie Lee, like, I should never have created Litecoin. That was a mistake. It should have been all about Bitcoin. But Litecoin was something that absorbed capital that otherwise would have went into Bitcoin. And then once you dilute, then it's like, it doesn't even matter. Okay, let's focus where it matters. That's on Bitcoin. Real capital is coming into Bitcoin. Yeah, there are selective outperformers, and whether or not you want to call it things like Solana, Ethereum, even, dare I say, to a lesser extent Cardano, to more of extent XRP right now. And there's, there are more attractive altcoins. Alt season is, a thing of the past. But anyway, um, I'm focused here for a reason. But you guys want to talk about other things. So we continue to defying gravity, but it's a lot more the same, right? This is 125 years of data. And this current track that we're on, by the way, this current track is coming off of 2 prior years of 20% plus gains. Only happened 3 other times in the past 125 years. And this track is running the highest out of all of them. But, there's a lot of signs. And I am sure, like in every other period of human history, as a major transformation was happening, looking back, people were able to say, "Oh, well, that was clear and there were signs." I don't know how many people are able to get it right in real time. I want you to be able to get it right in real time. Let me check out over here, Mara, and see what the other miners are doing. Here's the thing. Are you ready? Right now, a lot of people looking for Bitcoin to, in a very short window. Let's call it the next 60 days, even though that window is tighter, to move into a strong parabolic move. And if that happens, there's speculation happening right now within miners that that might give the opportunity here as Bitcoin moves up, call it 50 to 100% to really spring. If Bitcoin does not do that, and if Bitcoin continues to just maintain within the sustainable channel, you are likely going to see then a lot of capital that was being tried to be utilized within the miners moved out. That's my read on it. That's my read on it. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad you're here, and I hope I'm sending like good thoughts, prayers your way, and hope you feeling better. Um, Platinum. Does anyone know an ETF for a popular platinum in the U.S.? I'll pull up platinum. Bitcoin at all-time high, $125,586,000. Thanks for calling it out. Let's go ahead and take a look at it right now. By the way, Ethereum is getting ready here to pop. If you ask me, outside of a Bitcoin adoption event, between this point of Fed cycle and, if you ask me who's outperforming in 12 months, if it's a bear market, then Bitcoin tremendously. I don't think that's happening. I think Ethereum will be outperforming Bitcoin outside of an adoption event. Nevertheless, I'm trying to pull up Bitcoin here and take a look at the beautiness. The beauty, $125,607. Moving towards, I would think, I'm just going to go ahead. This is the top ticks over here of the last bit of resistance in the channel, our sustainable channel. This seems like a good area right over here, above 140, into the end of the year. That would just be so tremendously hot. I don't know that that's going to happen though. And I know that I've been kind of uh I don't even I mean cautious is fair, but more than cautious, I've been a little bit expecting that that pullback that has not yet ensued to take foot. And we just keep defying gravity, and seasonalities are about to get really exciting. However, uh you know we look at things, or I look at signs, and watch NVIDIA. What's NVIDIA doing today, by the way? Is NVIDIA able to hold off this attack by AMD and the fugaziness that's happening? Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't look good to me. I know that we're positioned long, and thank God to being able to position around momentum, because that's all that matters, and that's everything. But I continue. The bulls are in the back for Bitcoin right now. It continues to be bears in the back for me, as far as equity markets. And let's see how wrong I've been, because I've been wrong. This is my sixth day, right? One, two, three, four, five, six. So definitely wrong, but I'm not changing. Don't have to. Position right. Whoop, whoop. Atlas, thanks every day for your incredible support. Appreciate every day you showing up, letting us know. Replay crew, glad to see you here live. What are we looking at? Boom. PPLT. I'm gonna go to a higher time frame just to get my bearings over here. What's going on? I mean, listen, I don't know. and we've taken out all our levels of resistance, flipped the last one, right? Retested its support, continue up. When I say I don't know, is my own personal perception of what's taking place here is that we are seeing an acceleration of the purchasing power of the US dollar. It is why you are seeing equities rising as such, and it is why you are seeing gold and Bitcoin rising as such. I think the plays are gold. And yes, I like for a long time I've held silver. I look forward to silver trading at 150, 200. I sincerely, sincerely do. I don't think silver's stopping at 70 and I'll see you at 150. Except that I don't know the time frame for that. And I don't think that we're in a period where we're the only time that I pivot to favoring silver over gold will be after the next after the next major devaluation, 2020 type event where the Fed is forced to go ahead and to massively grow that balance sheet. At that point in time, shortly thereafter, I highly favor silver over gold. Right now, I think that there's the speculation inside the silver market is going to ramp up on the break of 50, and a lot of people are going to feel that FOMO. I think that there will be some people who've been tied up in silver for a long time who kind of very quick, like a move into 70, they're going to be relieved to sell. And then that's likely going to be a big mistake, in my opinion. But I think that what we're seeing are central banks accumulating gold. And it's a move from US treasuries into gold. And I don't think that's going to stop. I think that's going to continue. And you'll also see the likes of Tether, right? Tether, US Treasuries, Tether, Bitcoin, Tether, gold, and they're accumulating a lot. And I think that they're not going to back off the bid either. And I think the smart people here see that, well, actually monetary reset is occurring. And we've been talking about that into the end of the decade. This is monetary reset. Now that it's happening in real time, a lot of people want to lean into what was comfortable, and that was in the past what was the I've tweeted it out very often. We're now in a secular bear market. All of your models that you used to the last 40 years no longer work. They are obsolete. They are outdated. They don't work in this new regime over here. What like so and I'm talking about platinum here in so much as that I mean, uranium, I see much more of a use in so much as that AI, we need power, much more of a move towards nuclear. Platinum, I don't, I, I don't see. Again, gold, I see a massive fundamental shift. Central banks are buying. That's likely not going to alleviate anytime soon, right? What's gonna outperform from here? Do you see Bitcoin moving to 250 or platinum moving to 300 first? You know, I see a major shift into Bitcoin. They're like the like early majority, the players are different. We're now seeing the arrival of institutions, and that's going to continue at first gradually, then suddenly. We're not even into the then suddenly plays. I think that there's a major, major, major fundamental shift into Bitcoin. Ethereum's different because of Tom Lee and Peter Thiel, like Ethereum, like it's a corporate treasury, right? Raise money in the debt markets, buy Ethereum. That's a major shift in Ethereum's life cycle. I see that now. Okay, well that's going to happen then with Solana and every other altcoin. Maybe not. In so much as that the Ethereum ETFs were around quite a while, and the flows were really small until you saw the likes of major players enter. So watch the players. It could be done. It will try to be done, but it's a lot like the Bitcoin treasury companies, right? MicroStrategy is the real deal. And then you've seen many others like just trying to, and it's not much different with what will happen with corporate treasuries of different altcoins. But I think that Bitmine has a real chance to do, to gain a substantial market share over there. Um, Uranium up. There you go. In 30 days, that's insane. And I see a real reason for it. There's a like over platinum. Like what I was trying to talk about was real fundamental reasons to be involved in an asset. And with tech, it makes sense. And then we looked at the difference between tech and the dollar, and then tech priced in gold and Bitcoin, right? And it's very clear that yes, why tech is appreciating versus the dollar, it's not versus the others. So we talked about platinum versus gold and gold versus silver, and the real reason why there is demand in this particular moment for gold and why I don't think that's going away. Uranium has a real reason, right? There's a real push towards energy outside of fusion. All of a sudden, there's a reason for it over here. Are we going long? Nah, we're just on time. There's got to be flows into it, and I don't think there will be personally. Right away. Guys, tomorrow I is going to be short and sweet. I have 30 minutes, which means that I'm going to actually start the honeymoon intro a few minutes ahead of time so that sharp at 12:30 p.m. we're live. So it's going to be just tomorrow's going to be a little bit different because I want to make sure you get as much as time possible with you all. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly that's what I was hitting at, is that you need to power these data centers. Nuclear is all of a sudden welcomed, and it makes sense here. Um, so here we are. There might be some wild numbers being thrown around for all metals right now, um, and likely with good reason. But what do you like? What do you think comes first? And I don't know the answer to that, but what do you think comes first? And what would be behind the move in platinum? Is it speculative, or is there a real reason for it? But do you see first 3,300 platinum or 250,000 Bitcoin? And I'm betting on Bitcoin. Uranium seemed like a good play for speculation. Not sure here. I think silver is also gonna continue to outperform, but you know what? Well, let's get a way to track all of these together: uranium, platinum, silver, and Bitcoin, and focus in on the metals and be able to see which at which point is outperforming and what our expectations will be in the 3, 6, 12 months ahead. My worry is that this is more along the lines. My worry, I'm not sure. Like I saw, like they have the All In Summit, and Solana is always sponsoring them, right? Like Bitcoin doesn't sponsor these things, and I'm worried that it's a lot of like inside VC type money and plays. They're looking to distribute into retail. Um, you know, that's just my own belief. Now Solana's we could look at it from this view as well. And this is Solana's massively outperforming. So you go from, you can't, I mean, you could look at it, let's look at it from 2020, from the last, major, but that was the birth of a new coin. What about from the peak of the bull market, November 2021? Bitcoin and Solana neck and neck. That's major, major, major outperformance by Solana in my view, and nevertheless, which has a greater chance of ultimately succeeding. What about from the 2000 the bull market breakout? Solana, we saw that first 2 years, 2023, I should say, just on a massive, massive run into early 2024. Right here is when it breaks away. What about since the bull market breakout in 2023? I think it's what we just looked at. What about since the April tariff scare? And this has been Ethereum widely running hot, but Solana is outperforming Bitcoin. And if XRP should be put in here, and XRP likely outperforming, dare I say, it's not outperforming Solana, is it? No, it's not. That's since the April low. Interesting. It's interesting that the move on Ethereum kind of coincided with the Fed cycle, when QT is basically run down to just the trickle, but at the same time there was that massive fundamental shift in adoption, whereas you saw Tom Lee coming in with Bitmine to actually accumulate, I think they're trying to accumulate 5% of the supply on PL. It looks like Riot, right? So I don't know. It's choppy. There's nothing easy about it. It there's nothing easy about that. So I don't even know where to begin. But it's not easy. But over here, you ultimately have, this is where you fit it, and it's been a massive run, up 60%, very quickly. Yes, V4. I want to thank you. I'm glad you said that. I wanted to talk about our current positions in relation to V4. And you could see that both Solana and Cardano are also out of the market. I guess I'll have to refresh. Solana and Cardano are both out of the market, and it is Bitcoin and Ethereum leading the way, and very, very similar entries. Ethereum's entry a little bit better here, but and then enter long pending now on Cardano. So that's the difference. But they both were out. It's navigated pretty good, pretty similar. And we're still waiting on the CTM filter over here on 2.0, but 4.0 would be add to it. So you could see just little bit better execution, but better execution and very similar. So there's no FOMO. We're going to get it out, and it's going to be right on time. Everyone, good start to the week. Got replay crew. This is all to you. Anyone still here for tomorrow's session? Well, actually, I'm not going to say. I was going to call to anything we want to look at. Tomorrow's going to be a light and sweet session, and that's what it is. And then for Wednesday, we'll try to dig in and get into that Throwback Thursday type vibe and mood, as was today, covering lots of aspects. Guys. CTM strong. Have a beautiful day, everyone. God bless you. See you all back now on the inside. Yeep, whoop, whoop. Biggest shout out to the silent majority. Massive, massive, massive love.